The classroom fell silent. For a moment, you could hear nothing but the faint hum of the ceiling fan and the pounding of her heart. It had happened so fast. 1 second, the new girl was walking towards her desk, clutching her books close to her chest. The next, a cruel hand had yanked her skirt to the floor. Gasps erupted across the room. Some kids laughed, some stared in shock, but everyone knew one thing: this was no harmless prank. This was humiliation at its worst. Her name was Emily Carter, a quiet, soft-spoken 17-year-old who had transferred from another city just 2 weeks ago. She wasn't the type to draw attention, always sitting in the corner, avoiding eye contact, and eating lunch alone. Her father's new job had uprooted her from her old school, her friends, and everything familiar. She had hoped this new start would mean a fresh chapter. Instead, it felt like she had landed in the middle of a storm she couldn't control. The Bullies were a group of 3 girls led by Vanessa, tall, pretty, and feared by almost everyone in school. Vanessa had decided from day one that Emily was an easy target. She didn't talk back. She didn't fight back. And in the twisted logic of high school power games, that made her fun. But what Vanessa and her friends didn't know was that Emily had spent years learning self-defense. Her mother, a martial arts instructor, had always told her, "You can be gentle and kind, but never let someone strip you of your dignity." Emily had kept that lesson buried deep, until today. As the laughter echoed, Emily didn't cry. She didn't scream. She calmly bent down, pulled her skirt back up, and fastened it. Her eyes lifted, meeting Vanessa's with a steady, unblinking gaze. Something in that look made the laughter falter. Emily stepped forward, her voice calm but cutting through the air. "Do you think that made you powerful? Because all I see is someone desperate for attention." The room went even quieter. Vanessa smirked, but her friends shifted uncomfortably. Emily didn't stop there. She took another step forward, her posture tall, her shoulders squared. "Try it again," she said, her tone ice-cold. "Just once more." Vanessa hesitated, something she never did. But the tension in the air was thick. Emily's stance wasn't just confident, it was controlled, like she knew exactly what she was capable of. And she did. When Vanessa finally reached out to shove her, Emily moved with lightning speed. She caught Vanessa's wrist, twisted it gently but firmly, and stepped aside, sending her stumbling off balance. It wasn't violent. It wasn't cruel. It was precise, a quiet demonstration that she was not someone to be toyed with. The classroom erupted in whispers. No one had ever stood up to Vanessa like that. The teacher, who had been late to class, walked in right at that moment and saw Vanessa red-faced and trembling. When Emily explained what had happened, several students backed her up. For once, the truth was the day began like any other: gray skies, chatter in the hallways, and that faint scent of cheap cafeteria coffee drifting through the air. But for Emily Carter, every step through those school doors still felt like walking into enemy territory. She had been at Ridgeview High for only 2 weeks, yet she could already feel the unspoken rules, the invisible lines, the social hierarchies carved deep into the school's DNA. Emily was quiet by nature, not shy, exactly, but observant. She noticed the way kids clumped together in their usual groups, the way some hallways felt safer than others, and most importantly, the way certain people seemed untouchable. At the very top of that unspoken food chain was Vanessa Ralston. Vanessa was everything Emily wasn't: loud, glamorous, and adored, or maybe feared. She ruled with a smirk and a pair of perfectly manicured claws. If Vanessa liked you, you were safe. If she didn't, well, you were fair game. Emily's trouble had started on her very first day. She hadn't done anything wrong, just existed. She'd worn a thrifted skirt, a cardigan, and a vintage scarf her mother had given her. That scarf caught Vanessa's eye, and not in a good way. "Cute. Did your grandma knit that for you?" Vanessa had sneered in front of her friends. Emily had simply smiled and walked away, not giving her the reaction she wanted. But ignoring Vanessa was mistake number 1. Over the next few days, it was little things: a shove in the hallway, a spilled drink, by accident, snickers when she answered a question in class. Emily endured it, telling herself it would pass. She had been the new girl before, and she knew sometimes people just tested you. But this was different. Then came that morning. Emily was early to her first class, sitting quietly, reviewing her notes, when Vanessa and her two shadows, Harper and Lacey, strolled in. Emily kept her eyes on her notebook, hoping they would pass by. Instead, she felt a sudden, sharp tug. The sound of fabric sliding against her skin was followed by a collective gasp from the room. Her skirt pulled around her ankles. For a split second, Emily froze. She could feel every pair of eyes on her, every whisper and stifled laugh. Some students covered their mouths, shocked, while others looked away in awkward silence. Her face burned, but her mind was strangely calm, like the world had slowed down. She bent down, pulled her skirt back up, and secured it. The room was still filled with a low murmur of voices, but she could feel Vanessa's smirk without even looking at her. Emily straightened her back, turned, and met her eyes. There was no tremble in her voice when she spoke. "Do you think that made you powerful?" Vanessa's smile faltered. Emily took a step toward her, then another. "Because all I see is someone who needs an audience to feel important." The air was electric. Harper shifted uncomfortably, glancing between them. Vanessa scoffed, trying to recover her control. "Oh, P.